This recording was made by Cybelle Manvailer on December 27, 2022, for educational sharing. Finding your own voice. If you choose according to your own inclination, according to your own intuition, the inner voice is very strong in children, but by and by, it slowly weakens. The voices of parents and teachers, of society and priests, are getting stronger. Now, if you want to find out what your voice is, you'll have to go through the crowd of noises. Just look inside. Whose voice is that? Sometimes it's your father. Sometimes it's your mother. Sometimes it's your grandfather. Sometimes it's your teacher. And these voices are all different. Only one thing you won't be able to find easily: your own voice. It has always been repressed. You have been told to listen to the elders, to listen to the priests, to listen to the teachers. You were never told to listen to your own heart. You are carrying your own small, still, unheard voice, and among the multitude of voices that have been forced upon you, it is almost impossible to find. First, you will have to get rid of all these noises, achieve a certain quality of silence, peace, serenity. Only then will it come as a surprise that you too have your own voice. It has always been there, live and undercurrent. Unless you've found your own bent, your life is going to be one long cradle to grave tragedy. The only people who have been happy in the world are those who have lived according to their own intuition and rebel against any efforts made by others to impose their ideas. However valuable these ideas may be, they are useless because they are not yours. The only meaningful idea is that which arises from you, grows in you, blossoms in you. Step 1. Who is speaking? Please. Whatever you're doing, thinking, deciding, ask yourself, is this coming from me or is someone else talking? You will be amazed when you find the real voice. Maybe it's your mother. You will hear her speak again. Maybe it's your father. It is absolutely not difficult to detect. It remains there engraved in you exactly as it was first given to you. The advice, the order, the discipline, or the command. You can meet many people, priests, teachers, neighbors and relatives. There's no need to fight. Just knowing that this is not your voice, but someone else's. Whoever that someone else is, you know you won't follow them. Whatever the consequences, good or bad, now you are deciding to move on your own. You are deciding to be mature. You have remained too much a child. You have remained too dependent. You listened to all these voices and followed them a lot. And where did they bring you? For a mess. Step 2. Thanks and goodbye. Once you identify whose voice it is, thank the person, ask to be left alone, and say goodbye to them. The person who gave you the voice was not your enemy. Her intention wasn't bad, but that's not a matter of intention. The point is, she has imposed something on you that is not coming from your inner source, and anything that comes from outside makes you a psychological slave. Once you clearly said to a certain voice, "Leave me alone," your connection with her, your identity with her, is broken. It was able to control you because you were thinking it was your voice. The whole strategy was identity. Now you know this is not your thoughts, nor your voice. This is something foreign to your nature. Acknowledging this is enough. Get rid of the voices that are inside you, and soon you will be surprised to hear a small, still voice, which you have never heard before. Then a sudden recognition that this is your voice. It's always been there, but it's a very soft, little voice because it was suppressed from when you were a very small child, and the voice was very thin, just a button, and it was covered with all kinds of rubbish and you forgot about it. Plant that your life is, which is still alive, waiting for you to discover it. Discover your voice and then follow it without any fear. When that happens, there is your life's goal, there is your destiny. It is only there that you will find fulfillment, contentment. It is only there that you will blossom, and in that blossoming, knowing happens. Osho, From Ignorance to Innocence. Talk number 13. See more in Osho's website www.osho.com. Sharing laws in the Constitution. Brazilians. The right to share for the visually impaired. Non-profit according to the law number 9.610 of February 19, 1998. Chapter ID Limitations to Copyright Art. 46. It does not constitute an offense to copyright I. reproduction, d. of literary, artistic or scientific works, for the exclusive use of the visually impaired, whenever the non-commercial reproduction is carried out using the Braille system or any other procedure on any support for these recipients. Law number 13146 of July 6, 2015 establishes the Brazilian law for the inclusion of persons with disabilities Statute of the Person with Disabilities. Chapter II Assistive Technology Art. 74. Persons with disabilities are guaranteed access to assisted technology products, resources, strategies, practices, processes, methods, and services that maximize their autonomy, personal mobility, and quality of life. Chapter IV The Right to Education. Art. 27. Education is a right of persons with disabilities, ensuring an inclusive educational system at all levels and lifelong learning, in order to achieve the maximum possible development of their talents and physical, sensorial, intellectual and social abilities, according to their characteristics, interests and learning needs. Also for update, the Commission on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities approved a proposal that requires, in public libraries, the provision of publications accessible to people with visual impairments, such as audiobooks, and technologies that allow access to written text by alternative means. Source: Camera de Noticias Agency. Chapter IX. The right to culture, sport, tourism and leisure. Part 42. Persons with disabilities have the right to culture, sport, tourism and leisure on an equal basis with other people, with guaranteed access to cultural assets in an accessible format. Television programs, cinema, theater and other cultural and sports activities in an accessible format, and monuments and places of cultural importance and spaces that offer services or cultural and sporting events. 1. It is prohibited to refuse the offer of an intellectual work in an accessible format for people with disabilities, under any argument, including under the allegation of protection of intellectual property rights. It is prohibited to refuse the offer of an intellectual work in an accessible format for people with disabilities, under any argument, including under the allegation of protection of intellectual property rights. It is prohibited to refuse the offer of an intellectual work in an accessible format for people with disabilities, under any argument, including under the allegation of protection of intellectual property rights.